What's up, world renowned family? Neil Oates Jr. here, and today I'm going to walk through a process, answer a question that was asked by one of our agents, but also I've heard from a number of my coaching clients, and then those that are just in the circles, in the real estate professional circles that I have. And the question is, how do we increase the quality, the level, the value of those in whom we serve? And so the question that was posed to me just yesterday was this: how do I get in front of affluent clientele? And their plan was, well, I'm going to think about going with the expired listings in a certain price range, or the for sale by owners in a certain price range. Or what if I found out where someone worked and then then I go through the process of going, maybe using LinkedIn and working backwards. Now, we all know that the highest way to get a lead or a connection is through a referral. But the process that we're going to walk through right now is one that I've been using for years. It has proven successful. It does require more work from you as the professional. I do want to let you know that right now. Now, not everything that we're going to look at, that we're going to have access to, or that in this demonstration, in this example, you will have access to immediately, but there are workarounds. Now, we're going to be seeing some things from Wealth Quotient on the screen. I don't necessarily endorse, and I'm telling you that you have to use Wealth Quotient in order to get their support. What I am telling you is that the methodology that is laid out works phenomenally well. And a big part of that is because as professionals, as salespeople, as business owners, entrepreneurs, many times we work from outside in. We see someone over there that we want to work with. We see, or we're in a price range, we're in a niche that doesn't quite meet the expectations that we want. We're not selling in the price ranges that we want. We're having more difficulty finding or attracting those clients. And so I will remind you that, Jim Rohn says that success is something that we attract. It is not something that we pursue. So the entire methodology, the mindset, the actions that we're going to take, instead of being outside in, meaning there's someone over there, let's see how we can get them to come to us, is for us to start inside and move outward. And that's going to begin with a few simple shifts in the way we think, especially as an entrepreneur, business owner, real estate professional. And it doesn't only have to be in the luxury realm, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make that perfectly clear. It could be, as you grow, any book of business. So I'm going to do a lot of screen share today, but I do want you to take a close look at the things as we go through them. Just the overall checklist. Filtering existing relationships, that's going to be the first step. We're going to map the social graph, come down and ask for the intro, gather intel, and then be bespoke. So before we go any further, when we talk about filtering existing relationships, we know this, we've heard this, whether you've tried to put it into your CRM or wherever it is. But first, get everyone you know out of your head into a platform, onto paper. Get them out of your phone, onto paper. Everyone that you know, your existing relationships, we want to see, are they good or not? Who do you know? Because here's what this entire methodology relies upon. It relies upon the idea that you already know everyone that you do to meet or to have everything that you want. Now, this does require a big belief. And if you don't know them yet, if we're intentional, we can do this. But we're going from the inside out, not from the outside in. And then this is the process. We can see right here, we want to filter existing relationships by 3 criteria. Are they social? Do they like you? And are they willing to help you? Now, this is very important. Let me go to the next spreadsheet that we would be using. So when we filter existing relationships, this is all it is. For instance, if Tony the Tiger and Daffy Duck are in my relationships, if they are 2 people that I know, The first question I'm going to ask is, are they social? That does not mean, are they a socialite? Are they running with the in crowd, or are they rubbing elbows with the affluent? It means, are they on social media? Can I find out something about them through social website, a public website? If they are super private individuals, it's going to be much more difficult for any more of the process to go along, especially because we're working from an inside out methodology. Ladies and gentlemen, now this is not the sexy work. I know it is not, but this is the most important part of the entire process. So can you find something out about them on company websites, by using Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram? If that is a yes, we're going to click it. Do they like you? Meaning, do you think that they would want to see you win? And then are they willing to help you succeed? If this one is no, then the other two almost don't matter. All right. Now, we do need most of them, if not all of them. But if they are unwilling to help us, then we are not going to move forward with them. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Neil, what if I don't know if they're willing? I'm sure they're social. Yes, they do like me, but I don't know if they're willing. Do I leave this box unchecked, or do I not mark them down and qualify them as a hub for my business? The answer is absolutely not. We do not disqualify anyone who has not disqualified themselves. So it might be, I put Tony Tiger, Daffy Duck. It might be your Uncle Marvin. If Uncle Marvin is here, he's social, he likes you, and he wants to help, put Uncle Marvin there. It is very important what I'm about to say to you, ladies and gentlemen. They do not need to be affluent or wealthy themselves in order to be a hub to the affluent or the wealthy. Very important. So don't disqualify them yourself if they have not disqualified them. And so as we go through this process, for instance, for my friend who asked this question, he works at a country club. So he might go through this process, list everyone he knows. And once again, social is not that they just rub elbows with the affluent or with the successful. It is, are they publicly, is information publicly available on them? Why? Because that's how we're going to find the next step, the next part of the information that we need, right? So we want to go through, and if they are willing, they like you, they are social. If you don't know, let's give it a check mark, and then let's give them information or the opportunity to go further in the process. But the more people we have in this process, the tougher, the more difficult, the more strenuous it is on us. Because as the professionals, we are going to be the ones doing the work. So after we filtered all of our existing relationships, for some of you who might just be starting out, you might say, I don't have any existing relationships. Others, you might have dozens, if not hundreds of existing relationships. And so then we are going to have to take more time going through this. And that's where the hard work will be. All right, so the next step is going to be in mapping, is when we're going to have to map the social graph. And so in this social graph, once again, we want to know, are they social? Why? Because we want to see if there are public boards that they are on. Let's say that someone sits on a public board. What if they're on ABC Walmart board and it's public information? Then we can have the name of the executive that your hub is tied to. Let's say Daffy Duck is on Candle board, right? And then we find that out. And we know that there are these two executives on Candle board. So we would put the name of, instead of Daffy, what if he was on with Donald Duck? And then what if he was on with Scrooge Duck? And they were all three on the, let's say, Candle board. All right, and of course, it's obvious that there's a candle sitting right here next to me, right? So we are social mapping for Daffy Duck. We have Donald Duck and Scrooge McDuck actually on the candle board with Daffy. If we know now that there are ties, the stronger the ties are, we're starting to see where, even though Daffy Duck is not a affluent individual themselves, they might not be the person that we're going to seek business out with. If they're social, now we can start getting information that's going to be able to take us a little bit further down the line and give us some additional people that we might want to ask for introductions. If there are social and corporate boards, let's say there are no companies, what if there are social and corporate boards? Same things for associations, clubs, and friendships. Now, this is important for me to reiterate right now. Typically, we find an individual that we want to connect with way down the line, and we start trying to figure out, well, how do I get in front of them? That's where we spend a lot of time, and there's never any like interest. There's never any like associations that's going to bring us into a what we call coincidental meeting. So working from the inside out is going to yield a much better return on our time and on our relational equity. So the next step, after we have filtered all of our existing relationships, we filtered the social worksheet. Now we're coming into the qualification worksheet when it comes to finances. Because, for instance, what if we say that from Daffy Duck, we have Donald Duck and Scrooge McDuck. They are both options for us to ask for introductions to. But once we go, we find out that Donald Duck is here and Scrooge is here. What's their professional titles? What's their value when it comes to real estate? Can we do a wiki search on them or a Google search? Can we do their name, Donald Duck plus real estate in quotation, and see what comes up? And the way we do this skillfully is, yes, we utilize LinkedIn. We go in and search for ties and connections on Instagram, Facebook, anything that's publicly available. Now, here's what I am going to suggest to you, right? I do not suggest, if someone's page or their profile is private, do not befriend or request their a like or a connection simply for the purposes of research. If you do not know them, do not press private or request a connection with them simply to gain information. That would be disingenuous and unauthentic, and we want to operate from places better than that. So as we come through and look at this information, and that's why it's so important. I mentioned you don't have to use Wealth Quotient for this. They do have services that would make this possible. Myself, I'm using tools that are made available from the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing and their online wealth lookup. And so a lot of the information that I'm going to be using is coming from online wealth lookup through the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing. You might use something like WealthX. There are a lot of different avenues in order to get our information from. You can even see when it comes to equities, you can use the SEC.gov. And then if they have a net worth of up to 5 million, that's what we're going to call high net worth individuals. And then really anything over 30 is ultra high net worth. And you can just play with that anywhere in between, right? So if you wanted to say 10 million down, 10 million to 20 or 10 million to 30, 30 plus is generally considered ultra high net worth individuals. So just keep that in mind. Now, as you go through this process, I know you might want to say, woohoo, let me find a way to contact that person directly. That is not what we are doing, because remember, we're going from the inside out. We're going to want to find a way that we have an increased likelihood for them to request our information or for us to request theirs. And then this is just from Wealth Quotient. This is just an explanation framework. Okay, and so this talks about the wealth range. If they're from 1 to 3 million, there are 1. If they're 3 to 30 million, there are 2. If they go up to the billions, then of course you see that their ranking would be a 4. So that's something that you could put in here as well. Now, after all of this, once we go through the 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, and 2, 3, number 3 is to ask for the introduction. Now, here's how you ask for. Well, actually, let me pause for one moment. Number 3, let me share my screen because this is going to be for us. Let me go. There we go. Number 3 is going to be ask for the introduction. And we want to make specific ask for introduction based on that social mapping and that financial information gathering. We want to ask for information or ask for the introduction. And we want to ask in a way that it is specific. We don't want to say, who do you know that? Is really all depending on the type of relationship you have with your hub. Do you all remember we started with Daffy Duck, someone that we have a relationship with because he was in our list, our Rolodex, our CRM of existing contacts. And so we would have conversations with Daffy Duck and say, hey, Daffy, would you happen to know? Now, we don't want to say, would you introduce me to your cousin so-and-so? Would you happen to know or be able to connect me with anyone from your board from the calendar board? Would you know Donald or would you know Scrooge? And are you willing to make an introduction? Here's why. I want to work with people and grow mine, increase mine, and plant that to the next. If they say yes, good. If they say no, 100% okay with that as well. Once they say yes, anyone that your hub, anyone that Daffy has agreed to connect you with, introduce you to, you want to start building your dossier or your profile sheet, right? And this is where now we go in and we start finding out everything we can about Donald or Scrooge specifically. We want to go in and build a file on them. Now, it might seem creepy. Maybe you're not comfortable doing that, but the whole purpose for this is to find out how many overlapping areas you can find similarities or connections. How many people do they know that either you or your hub might know? Right? What activities, what interests are they in? So we see this, we understand this at a fundamental level, but here's the mistake that we make. We just go out and start playing golf and think that, oh, I play golf, you play golf, I see you on the golf range, on the putting range, on the driving range, or playing golf. Maybe I see you in the clubhouse, and once I see you, I shake your hand and I say, hi, I'm Neil Loach, I'm a real estate broker. Who do you know that needs to buy or sell? I would love to be your agent. And they're looking at you saying, I came out here to play golf, have fun with my friends. I did not come out here to be sold to, because their BS meter, their bull stuff meter is acutely tuned, right? So how many times do we see that? Or we say, well, here's what their interests are. Let me just jump straight in and then see them at a location, see them at a function, a networking event, and then slide right in, give my business card to them. Never once asking what their interests, what their hobbies, what they have a propensity to enjoy is, right? So that's where oftentimes we make mistakes. We go outside in, but with this methodology, we're going to go inside out. And then finally, we're going to look at this idea being bespoke, right? How do we create a one-off experience? How do we create a one-off coincidental or an interaction that is special? So we want to come and figure out what are the common interests that you share with your ideal client. That's whom you want to work with. Now, this does require you to understand who your ideal client is. And I've said numerous times that I believe that RPR has one of the best ways to find out who your ideal client is, whether you're in real estate or not, but specifically for real estate. We start using that. We use Karen Carr's method for our ideal client avatar. You know, what are their hobbies? What are they looking for? What's their price range, price point? What are their tendencies, their socioeconomic behaviors? If we get all of this information, that's why I said it doesn't only have to be wealth quotient. I believe there are ways for us as professionals to get the information. And then as we look at these interpersonal relationships here, these interactions, whether it's going to be strategic engagement through common interest, areas to explore, or if we come down here with these conversation topics. One that I often find is that me being from Alabama, is going to be shooting and shooting rifles or shotguns, shooting trap and skeet, right? This is something that for me just happens to be one of those conversation topics. Another one is going to be around philanthropic endeavors. What are you giving to? What causes do you believe in? What has your heart? As a kids pastor, it goes to kids and education and maybe Fellowship of Christian Athletes or different organizations. As an athlete myself, could it be a sport that they love or a sport that they used to play? What was their college experience like? And then know what key questions. The biggest differentiator in all of this is the quality of the questions that you ask. It cannot be the simple question, who do you know that needs to buy or sell? Here's my card. Do you need to buy or sell? That is not a good enough question. That question, they have their barriers, their guardrails up to prevent themselves from ever being hit by that. And they have gatekeepers in place to protect them so they can enjoy their lives. Because you can imagine that the affluent, that the successful, that the best amongst us in terms of finances, they are bombarded daily, weekly with questions of how can I get your business, of solicitations. How many times do you think that their cares, their questions, that their concerns, that their interests are asked of? And then when it comes to marketing events, a theme, instead of just saying, okay, we're going to have a art show and just invite everyone for art. Maybe it's something more bespoke, very specialized for this individual. Maybe they only like certain pieces of art or types of art. Maybe they don't like art at all. Maybe it's going to be a cigar and bourbon or scotch event. Right now, I'm just throwing some ideas out there for you. And instead of it being one where you're just inviting everyone, what if you invited 4 individuals, all of whom your hub knew, and maybe 2 or 3 of the others knew, and it was in one of their homes? Or if you're a real estate agent, it could be in a luxury listing where you're going to also offer car service to and from the event. Now, that's going to put you in a different realm, a different circle than someone who says, here's my card. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate broker. I sell yachts or planes. We want to always make sure that we are setting the bar just a little bit higher and going a step above. So that's the idea. That's the methodology behind inside out prospecting, inside out referral based, proactive prospecting. Does it require more work? Absolutely. Are you going to be better for it? Absolutely. Is your business going to grow bigger, better, faster than you ever thought possible? I am a product of that, and we're just now starting to turn the dial. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, days, months, and years as I report back to you, family. Now, I hope that you found this video valuable. If you did, be sure to hit like. Also, leave comments. I would love to know what it is that you think, what your questions are, or how we can be of service to you. Please share this content and this channel with anyone that you think would benefit, because a rising tide lifts all ships. And we want to be around some pretty good, successful individuals, business owners, and entrepreneurs. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Charles for posing this question so that all of us could benefit. Now, here's what I must do every single time. I want to tell you that I love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time I see you or you see me, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.